Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you guys just kind of a random bunch of stuff. So I want to talk about the stuff that I have read so far since my last reading check-in. I want to talk about the things that I'm in the middle of reading, and then also share with you guys a little bit of a book haul, talk about my goals so far this month, and just that kind of stuff. So hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're enjoying your winter. Our winter is coming and going. It's very erratic. So, I have no idea what it's going to be when I go outside. So I've just been keeping my coat in the back of the car and pretty much never wearing it. January has been a little weird. I think that I came into the month with, I don't know, maybe kind of some low expectations, not the same level of excitement that I usually do. And that has just set the tone really for the first, I think we're on the 11th, the first 11 days of the month. Hasn't been a bad month, but hasn't been super spectacular. Part of it is just some choices I made that may not have been the best for me, but we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. First, let's talk about the things that I have finished this month. So first thing I finished was the hardest puzzle ever created, and this is The World of King Arthur. This one was so hard. It was so hard. You've got like all this different water, but it's different shades of blue, but it's different shades in different parts. It's a mess. And then all around the edges there is like all this botanical, and looking at it, you wouldn't really, maybe you can see from this side, looking at it, you wouldn't really, I don't know, maybe think I'm being a little extreme, but there is a lot of just like botanical, flowery plant sort of stuff all over this puzzle. It made it so hard to put together. It was very difficult. I was just like, at the end, it was more just like, oh, finally, rather than like, I'm done. Because I was just, this one really challenged me. So it's a good one. I will do it again, but not anytime soon, man. This was such a challenge. It's just 1,000 pieces, but I don't know, just the colors of it, everything was kind of dark. It was difficult. In fact, I had to rearrange my entire library to put my puzzle table in a place in which I could actually see this thing. It's caused me a lot of chaos. But now I am on to the Bronte puzzle. I forgot to bring that in, but I'm doing The World of the Brontes. Started that last night, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit easier. Not that I want it to necessarily be easy. I like a challenge, but this one, it was not good to do during like the coziest month of the year, because it wasn't cozy as much as it was just like gut-wrenching. As for books, I ended up finishing this one. Not my normal style. This is The Crossroads by Beverly Lewis, but this is part 2 in a series. It's just a 2-part series, I guess, a duology. And it's one of her earlier ones, and I had picked it up because of the snowy cover, and I was looking for wintry books. And so I read, the first one last month, which I think is called The Postcard, and then this one, The Crossroad. And it was good. I'm glad I read it. It wasn't quite as good as the first one. There was just a little bit of doctrine things I didn't quite agree with. And so I was just kind of like, whatever. But anyway, overall, it was okay. I don't think I'm going to read any Beverly Lewis anytime soon, but I sort of got it out of my system, so I feel good about that. I will still pick up her books when I find them if they're like the right version, like the ones that I used to have, and just kind of put them aside because like I said, I do plan on reading more, but they're not something I used to be able to just like read one after another. I can't do that anymore. No, I need a little bit of brain food. So anyway, and then the other thing that I finished, and I've only finished one book and one short story, but we'll get to the rest of that in a second. I finished the story Young Goodman Brown from Nathaniel Hawthorne's Tales. That is the group read for the Nathanuary for the first half of this month. So we've got just a few more days where we're going to discuss Young Goodman Brown. If you haven't read this story yet and you're interested, go ahead and find it. There's a link in my description box that shows where you can read it online. It's 11 pages, so it's a quick read, but I am going to be putting out an analysis video here in just a couple of days. Once the 15th of the month passes, because that's when we move on to the next story. And so I want to give everybody a chance to read it within that time frame that I'm kind of doing for Nathaniel. I think there has been some discussion going on my Discord, and there are some spoilers there, but we've kind of tried to be careful to like write no spoilers or spoilers in the threads, so for those who haven't read it yet. But anyway, there's a little bit of discussion going on there. I'm going to make an analysis video, so if you are interested and think you might want to watch that video, you might want to read the story first. I will do a summary of it, but you know, if you don't want spoilers. But anyway, I read it. I loved it. I love his stories. Young Goodman Brown is basically about just a guy that kind of has his eyes open to the truth of the world, and some of his like naivety stripped away, and it has some good spiritual themes in it. So I thought I'd make a whole video on that. All right, and then I've had 2 DNFs. My first DNF was this book, How to Solve Your Own Murder. I can't remember who it's by, but I got 150 pages into that before I DNF'd it. So it was recommended to me, and I was trying to give it a good try for the sake of the person who recommended it, but it just had content that I was not cool with, and I finally got fed up. So ended up DNFing that and wasting 2 days reading 150 pages of that one. Then I ended up DNFing this one. This is Dostoevsky. I was reading Notes from the Underground. So in my like 2026 planning video, I talked about how I was going to join this challenge where we're reading a lot of literature that I just have like no background for. So it basically has a different read each month, and a lot of it is Russian, French, some German, a little bit of English, but for the most part, the majority of it is non-English literature. And so I thought it was going to be a really big challenge just because I don't really have any historical, cultural background. I don't have a lot of understanding about, especially political stuff and wars and history. I just don't know anything about the history of Russia for sure, Germany for sure, and France for the most part. Just, I don't have a clue. And so I thought it would be quite a challenge to read these, and it's quite a challenge. I read like the first maybe 6 chapters of Notes from the Underground, and then I went back and read the introduction because I usually tend to skip introductions, but I got kind of a feel for what was going on, and then I went back and read like the introductory notes, and I got a better feel for what was going on, and then I was just depressed. Like, I'm like, spoilers, but it doesn't really get any happier. Just like, so it's just kind of a, it was just really depressing, and I'm like, maybe in a certain mood, in a certain day, in a certain lifetime, but right now, I'm just not feeling it. I want to read happy things and cozy things, and I want to read things that make me think and learn, but this one, it was just, listen, I got 5 adults and 4 teenagers, and there's just like enough whining in my life already. I don't need to read all of this guy's whining as well. So this is up on my Pango Books account if anybody's interested. It's brand new except for the like 4 pages of annotations, and I think I've got it listed for $6. So if you're interested in reading that, maybe I'll even give you a discount. So those are my 2 DNFs. Now, what I'm in the middle of, I'm in the middle of Once a Future King by T.H. White. And this book is made up of 4 smaller books. So he wrote this series of stories over the course of, I don't know, maybe like 30 years or something. I can't remember what I read, but over the course of a long time. And they're all stories about King Arthur and people like in his life, right? So just the King Arthur stories, basically. And so the first one is The Sword in the Stone. It's all about young Arthur and Merlin and, his life, whatever. And that, his life as a boy before he realizes that he is the son of Uther. And then at the very end is when he pulls for the sword from the stone and realizes that he is the next king. The second story is kind of a little bit more about like Morgause and her children, which if you've studied the stories very much, it's different from author to author. Like the characters are all kind of the same people with maybe slightly different names, slightly, variations on their names. and variations on like their stories. So it's all, it can be very confusing to read all the different legends. But in this particular one, it just tells the story of Morgause and her life and her children, and is kind of setting the stage for all of the different, for a bunch of the different like knights of the Round Table. It starts talking about, you know, the formation of the Round Table and his, you know, his knight group of knights and his philosophy for reigning and all that kind of stuff. And then the third story is the one I'm on now, and it's more of the story of Sir Lancelot. And I just have a thing about Sir Lancelot. I do not like him. I never have liked him. I think that he is a wife stealer and a weenie, and I think he's a wimp, and I'm just like, he's supposed to be like the best knight ever, but I think emotionally he is a total wimp, and so I'm not loving the stories about Sir Lancelot. Also, this author has made them kind of weird. Like, he's made like Lancelot's interest in Arthur super weird. So I'm not loving that sort of direction. I'm not loving it. And I still have like 150 pages until the Lancelot story is done and I get to the last story, which I obviously don't know what that one is about. It's called The Candle in the Wind. This was my pick for this month, but on the Read the Classics challenge that Anna's doing, and it was my predicted 5-star read. If I could just go on the first 2 books, I would give it 5 stars. Bringing in the story of Lancelot and just a few other minor content things that are bugging me, it's like down to 3 stars now. So the rest of this book is going to have to be pretty good for me to meet that 5-star prediction. Right now, I don't see it happening. Like, some amazing things are going to happen. But I am going through this really slowly. In my January TBR video, I talked about reading this in a week. Yeah, it's just going so slowly. So I think it just felt kind of bogged down because, like, usually I've read more books by now in the month, and I've read like some good books, and I've had some things that I could sort of respond to. And I guess I've been responding for 15 minutes now, but like good responses, like things that stuff that made it feel worth it, right? So other than the Hawthorne story and finishing my King Arthur puzzle, I don't know. Some of this stuff just hasn't felt like it was worth it. But here's some stuff that has been worth it. So last week, our Bible study group started the Psalms. This is the guided study journal put out by Kelly from Bookish Kelly. And we started this and did the first 6. Yeah, the first 6. And I really enjoyed going through this. This is a great resource if you guys want to study the Psalms. There's no like teaching or anything. It's literally just like this, every page. But it breaks down, it helps you break down the Psalm, and it just makes you think about things that you probably wouldn't have, right? It kind of helps you draw out some extra themes, whatever, some, you know, deeper themes or whatever. Just, it gives you like time to ponder because it gives you things to ponder on. That makes sense? So it's been a really great resource. I'm so glad I got this. I am going to get one of these actually for my son who's almost 16 for his Bible study this year. I have no idea what he does in his personal Bible study, but for school, I just have him do, you know, various things. But this is what I'm going to have him do for the next, you know, year-ish, is this. And so I just really feel like it walks you through a method of studying verses, and it's really good. It's a good one. So anyway, I'm going to get that for him. And then if you guys aren't aware, I'm doing a Saturday morning Bible study on the channel here. And so when we get to Psalms, I'm going to have it all ready right here. It's going to be great. Until then, you don't get to hear any of my notes. Until then, my notes are secret. And so with that, I've been reading from the Sidney Psalter, which is, I've told you guys about this 1,000 times, but it's basically just something from the time of, you know, Elizabethan times, where these brother and sister rewrote the Psalms. And if you love Shakespeare, you will love this. I really didn't know what to expect, but reading this, it's literally like reading Shakespeare. It's so good. The same, you know, the same terminology, similar voice. They were probably friends. Like, I just really, really enjoying this a lot, but it's definitely if Shakespeare wrote the Psalms. So check that out if you haven't yet. Looks like that. So pretty. Oh, and I should show you my bookmark. My husband got me these bookmarks. Here's one. Has cute little foresty things. This one over here. This one has strawberries on it. And there's one other kind of foresty one, but I don't remember what book I have it in. So when I find that, I'll show you. But those were supposed to be Christmas gifts and they came late, so I got those this past week. Okay, so looking at my book journal, which I ended up putting little tabs in for the years the other day, so I'm feeling like I'm just organizing myself. I decided to quit that challenge that had me reading the Russian and German and whatever. I'm still wanting to read some of the books. Some of the books are kind of racy and they're just probably not anything that I will ever read. But some of them I do want to read. But I don't think that I want to read them right now. There was too much history that I needed to know reading Dostoevsky, and I don't have a clue. I guess I never really did finish talking about that when I was talking about reading that book, but there's just so much I don't understand. And so his politics, he's trying to make some political statements in there, and it was totally going over my head. So all I was seeing was whiny, depressed person who doesn't want to fix his life. And that's probably not giving a whole lot of credit to the story and the guy. So I decided that I needed to put that away until I have a better cultural context to read that in, which who knows if I ever will. So anyway, I'm not going to do that challenge, but I am going to read some of the books at some point. So on my list here, this is my January spread. I've got my 2 stories for Nathaniel, which I did read the one, and then the second one is My Kinsman Major Molyneux, which we will be reading from the 16th till the end of the month. And then like the first week, we're just going to discuss like non-spoiler stuff on the Discord. And then the second week we'll discuss spoilery stuff. And by discuss, it's like, I mean, we're not really talking a whole lot and there's not really a whole lot of us on there. So if you want something that's super low maintenance and you can just kind of lurk, my Discord is a great place for that. Because I think people pop in and read and leave, and that's totally fine. Like, however, it's just a discussion. It's just open if people want to talk about stuff, and if not, that's totally great too. Anyway, so I got that, and then I've also got the Nathaniel side quest, which is for myself to read the Concord Quartet by Samuel A. Schreiner Jr., which I do have plans on reading here in the next few days. But I got another book, I'll show you that here in a second when I get to the book haul, that will be like side quest number 2, but it might actually take the place and be number 1 because I'm really excited about reading it. But I'll tell that whole story in a minute. And then I've got my 50 by 50 / reading the classics challenge, and that was the Once and Future King. And so I'm close to 2/3 done with that one. I also have on here to continue with the Pickwick Papers. I don't know if I'm going to get to that. Maybe I'll read a chapter, but probably no significant progress in that. The Dostoevsky thing, I decided to DNF that. Epistolary January. So my plans for Epistolary January, which looking back, I do wish that I would have done more with that. There's a group read that I was watching or listening to Anne while I ran errands just a few minutes ago, and she was talking about the group read that is called Wired Love, I think. And I was like, I want to read that. I want to read that and discuss that with everybody. So I do kind of wish that I would have, but whatever, it's fine. But what my plan was to do for Epistolary January is to get the last 2 published Emma M. Lyon books, which I haven't read yet, 7 and 8. I don't think 9's out yet. Tell me if you know if it is, but I haven't seen it. But I need to order those, and that's what I'm going to read for Epistolary January. Well, later this week, I am planning on selling my left leg so I can go onto Amazon and order those because they're like $25 a piece. But I'm going to get those, get them here, get them read, and then I can say I at least read something cozy this month. And then I also have on here my historical study, which this year I am doing just random, not random, but I'm just doing some medieval, Middle Ages era studies. And so I have a couple of books that I want to read from those. Haven't touched those yet because I've been bogged down with this other crazy, right? And then I had a couple other, anyway, everything else that I have on this list I haven't touched yet. So it is January 11th. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to put aside Once and Future King for a little bit. And I'm going to start focusing on some of these other reads that I'm a little more excited about. And then when we get to like the last couple of days of January, if I still haven't finished Once and Future King, I'm just going to like drop everything in my life and read it until it's done, and just all night long, something, caffeine binge, I don't know what, and just get the sucker read so I can say I read it, so I can cross it off my 50 by 50, so I can actually complete Ian's challenge for this month, and I can feel good about myself. That's okay. I got a lot of other things to make me feel good about myself, but that I would like to complete that book. Okay, now, this is the second, what am I talking about? Side quest of Nathaniel. Jeez. Yes, the Nathaniel side quest. So this is another fiction story that I saw when I was at Barnes & Noble last week with my daughter. It was $30. And I just wasn't going to pay that. Even though I have a membership that would have made it only whatever, you know, discount that is off of that. I just wasn't going to pay that for a book I wasn't sure about, because for one thing, it was in the true crime section, and I am not a true crime reader at all. I just randomly stumbled on this book, like maybe it was God. If it turns out to be a nasty book, then probably wasn't, but it was totally a Nathaniel Ray side quest, because it is a book telling the story of the real inspiration for The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And I didn't even realize that was a thing. I didn't even realize that was based on a real story. So let's get to it. Anyway, I got it today from Pango because I wasn't going to pay $30, right? So I went on to Pango, and because I've been selling things on there, I had some credit, and I ended up getting it for $7 plus shipping. And I was like, this is fantastic. So I'm loving Pango books. Whoever, I think it was it Jess? It might be Jess who told me about, or that I found out about anyway, Pango Books from watching one of her videos and joined. So thanks for that. But anyway, this is my first purchase off of Pango. So they wrapped it in nice brown paper. They put a little card in here. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at that. It's a little thank you note. Oh, I didn't do that with any of the books I sold. Okay, I need to up my game. I guess Pango is might be the Etsy for books. I don't know. Anyway, nice, pretty card. Thank you for your purchase. Enjoy. That's so sweet. All right, I need to give a little more attention to my my Pango customers and make it special, right? Because I never even considered that. Okay, so let's try. Oh yeah, it's in such good shape. I can tell already. So this is what it is. All the Sinners Bow by Kate Winkler Dawson. It says 2 authors, 1 murder, and the real Hester Prynne, which is the main character of The Scarlet Letter. And I did not realize that this was a thing. I had no idea, but this book is in like perfectly brand new condition. Wow. It says the true story of the scandalous murder investigation that became the inspiration for both Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter and the first true crime book published in America. So there was a murder in 1832, and it was very much all over the news and everything, and it inspired Hawthorne, I guess, etc. So I'm not really a true crime reader. I'm not really a crime reader, and I don't really like reading about murders, like, all that much. I mean, it's not like I'm dying to read about a murder. Oh, I get it. But I think that because it concerns Nathaniel Hawthorne and The Scarlet Letter, I am very interested in reading this, and I may have even just start this tonight. I don't know. So I think one of the reasons why I don't like to read stuff like this is because I feel like with harsh crime and harsh people come harsh language, and I hate profanity. I just hate it. It just makes me, it makes me feel really negative. And so that's just one thing that there's other things I can handle in books that most people would be like, wow, that's way worse than profanity, but I just can't. I don't like it. So anyway, I try to I avoid them because I don't want that harsh speech in my mind. But because it took place in 1832, maybe it'll be like the same reason why I read classics, right? Because there's not a lot of harsh profanity in those either. I don't know. I could be totally full of it. We'll see. So I think I'm going to read that tonight. I'm going to throw that way over on the bed. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. Thank you to Gloria from Pango, just in case you may be watching my channel. It's so sweet. Thank you for wrapping it so nice and my sweet little card. And it was a fun experience. Okay, so real quick, let me show you the books that I have picked up in the last week and a half, because I realize this video is getting really long. Okay, so I went to my favorite bookstore down in Tawnytown, and I picked up a few classics that I've just been thinking about possibly looking at. Not sure. And then some other stuff. So the first one is, this is Sophocles. I thought I had some Sophocles, but actually I don't. I have like everything else that was ever published around that era but him. So these are all of his plays. You've got Antigone, Oedipus the King, I don't know, all the different things in here, which I haven't read since high school, and don't necessarily have any plans on reading like in the near future, but it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, oh, that reference, that I'd like to go read that, right? And so much of his writing is referenced everywhere, through like all of literature history, right? So I kind of just wanted to have him available in case I want to go back and read a play and be reminded of something. All right, and then another story that I really actually have been wanting to read for a long time is Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. Now, there are several different stories about Faustus, about Faust or Faustus, kind of like the King Arthur legends. Different people tell it in different ways. I wanted to read some kind of version of the Faust story. So Christopher Marlowe, I think, was writing during the time of, right? Wasn't he like a contemporary of Shakespeare and, you know, the Sidneys and all that? Oh yeah, this introduction actually says that him and Shakespeare were born in the same year. So can't get any closer to a contemporary than that. So I'll read that at some point. This one I just grabbed because I'm trying to collect some of these because I think I might want to read this. This is like the #1 ladies detective agency series, and I've never read any of these before, and I don't even know if I'm gonna like it, but it looks like a like kind of possibly cleaner sort of cozy mystery series. I don't know. But when I mentioned it a few videos back, someone else said they were really good. So anyway, found that, thought I'd grab it. Actually, I think I found that in a Little Free Library. Are we into the Little Free Libraries now? Oh yeah, we must be. Okay, so that I found at a Little Free Library. My daughter and I went up to Joplin. She was visiting a friend, and so I was digging around looking at Little Free Libraries, and I found quite a few good ones. This is My Cousin Rachel, Daphne du Maurier. No dust cover, but that's fine. I read this a really long time ago. I don't remember a thing, nothing. So I remember 2 guys and a girl. That's it. This is called The Rarest Fruit. I won't attempt to pronounce the author's name, but there it is. I'm doing an around the world challenge, and so I'm trying to find books that are set in places that I wouldn't normally read about. This one is set in this place called This. I think that will be really interesting, and it's a short one, so if I don't love it, at least I didn't have to read very long, but I'm getting to read about a place that I'm completely unfamiliar with. This is The Whipping Boy by Sid Fleischman. I don't know if you guys were like 80s, early 90s kids, if you read this for school, but we did. It was on a reading list, and it's kind of fun. I don't know, but it fits in with my medieval theme that I'm doing. So I may save this for middle grade March. The idea of the whipping boy, right? The guy that gets beat when the prince acts badly. It's a story about him. Story about him and the prince, really, and it's a fun short read. For kids, obviously, for middle grades, but Great story. This one also I found for my Around the World challenge. This one, it's called Cutting for Stone by Abraham Burgess. And this is set in Ethiopia. So it's about twin brothers born of a Indian nun and a British surgeon. Looks like it's a story that has to do with like doctors. Like I think their parents are doctors and then they are. I'm not exactly sure. I just saw Ethiopia and I don't have any books to take place there. So I thought I would give that one a try. I found The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Not a sci-fi girl, but it's definitely one that I can put on the classics list. And so decided I would pick that up. I also picked up this one, Home to Holly Springs by Jan Karen. And again, another type of book that's not really my type, but I've been trying to get into some series and maybe like some cozy series. And I've heard that these ones are cozy. It says it's the first of the Father Tim novels. Is it similar to Father Brown? I don't know. And then finally, I got an email from Better World Books where I buy a ton of book gifts, and I had a bunch of credit, I guess, that I hadn't used and was going to expire in, 30 days or whatever. So I went on and picked out a book and only had to pay like $1.60. And that is, I got Edith Wharton, The House of Mirth. Probably because it was one of the very few in the price range of my credit that looked interesting. And partly because my daughter, my oldest daughter, has this on her reading list for this year. And so I thought if I could read it, then maybe she and I could discuss it. She is trying to get her booktube channel going, and she likes to discuss her books, so I thought I should read it and then we can talk about it too. So that is my little cozy, not so cozy reading check-in. I guess it wouldn't bother me so much that it hasn't been like a super rewarding beginning to my reading year if it wasn't like the beginning of the year, right? If this was like August or something, I would just be like, whatever, it's a weird week. But because it's the beginning of the year, like you just have so much anticipation and hope, and it hasn't been that awesome. So at least for this coming week, I'm going to make it awesome, read some stuff that I know will be super interesting to me, and then I will come back to the things that I'm not so excited about to finish up the month so I can check off all my goals and feel good about that too. Guys, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're reading some good stuff. Let me know in the comments what you're reading, what you've been doing, how you're doing. I hope you are doing well, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.